The year is 2026, and while the rest of the world debates electric vehicles, self-driving systems, and AI-integrated infotainment, North Korea continues its unorthodox evolution of what it defines as a vehicle, more specifically, the highly secretive, ever-evolving missile launcher platforms that double as mobile military cars. Today, we're diving deep into what's known so far about North Korea's newest transporter erector launcher or TEL designs, what satellite data and defector insights reveal, and how this connects with Pyongyang's broader missile modernization strategy. Let's be clear, these aren't consumer vehicles, and they don't show up at car expos. But in North Korea's unique military-industrial context, TELs are the closest equivalent to what they might proudly call a luxury vehicle. Not in comfort or features but in strategic importance, cost, and propaganda value. First, let's talk about the visual evolution. Historically, North Korea relied on Chinese-made WS series trucks from the Wonshan Special Vehicle Company, which they imported under the guise of civilian logging transporters. But after international sanctions clamped down and China tightened export controls, Pyongyang had to adapt. Starting in the early 2020s, North Korea began producing its own TELs, possibly reverse-engineered and heavily modified. Now, in 2026, images released by state-run media show a new TEL that is far more refined than what we saw even just 2 years ago. Longer, with more axles up to 12 in the latest sighting, giving it more weight-bearing capacity. This hints that it's designed to carry an even larger intercontinental ballistic missile, possibly the Hwasong-18, which uses solid fuel rather than liquid. The difference is key: solid fuel missiles are quicker to launch, more mobile, and much harder to detect and stop. What's particularly intriguing is the redesign of the launcher chassis. Unlike previous models that looked like crude knockoffs of Soviet-era mass vehicles, the 2026 version features sleeker contours, modular sections, and what appears to be upgraded suspension. Multiple analysts have noted a shift toward independent suspension systems rather than the simpler leaf spring configurations. That's important for terrain mobility, meaning these TELs can travel off-road more efficiently, hiding in forested or mountainous areas before launching. One satellite image from March 2026 shows a TEL parked in a clearing in the Ryanggang province, not far from a camouflaged hangar previously thought to store agricultural equipment. Heat signature analysis showed the engine had been running recently, indicating potential drills. This TEL had a double-hinged launch platform, which is unusual and suggests it may carry a two-stage missile, or even a hypersonic glide vehicle. From a vehicle engineering perspective, let's look at the propulsion and mechanical side. Though specs are speculative, experts estimate that these TELs use a locally assembled diesel engine, possibly based on old Mercedes-Benz OM series engines imported decades ago and refurbished for military use. What's new is the reported integration of a hybrid diesel-electric auxiliary power unit. Yes, even North Korean TELs might be going partially electric, not for eco-friendliness, but to reduce infrared signature and engine noise during launch prep. Moving to the cabin, the cockpit, so to speak, North Korean state media showed limited interior footage of a TEL prototype during Kim Jong-un's April 2026 inspection. We caught glimpses of a digital dashboard with telemetry systems, communication arrays, and what looked like a Russian-style manual override. There was even speculation of GPS spoofing technology embedded in the control module, allowing the vehicle to mask its actual location from satellites and drones. While unconfirmed, these enhancements mark a leap from the bare-bones TELs of 2017 and 2019. Let's zoom out a bit to look at the missile systems these TELs are carrying. The 2026 update centers around the Hwasong-18 and its variants. North Korea first tested this solid-fuel ICBM in late 2023, and since then, they've gradually increased its range and payload capabilities. The newest TEL is believed to support a vertical cold launch using compressed gas, after which the solid fuel booster ignites in midair. This requires a highly stable launch platform, which explains the reinforced struts and leveling systems spotted underneath the latest launcher. Strategically, the TEL's role isn't just about moving missiles around. It's psychological. North Korea wants the world to see mobility, range, unpredictability. The more launches they parade or hint at having, the more resources the US, South Korea, and Japan must commit to tracking them. In that sense, every new vehicle they build is a chess piece on a larger board. And make no mistake, the North Koreans know this. Their media narrative around these vehicles is crafted to inspire awe internally and send a message externally. In an April 2026 parade, they unveiled 3 new TELs with synchronized launch animations on giant LED screens. That's a flex not just of technology, but of confidence. Interestingly, there's a growing theory that North Korea is decentralizing TEL production. Rather than build all units at the No. 65 factory in Shagang province, evidence suggests at least 2 more satellite assembly lines have been established, one possibly near Sinuiju and another underground facility in South Hamgyong. This decentralization would allow for parallel construction, reduce vulnerability to air strikes, and complicate foreign surveillance efforts. Now, let's answer the burning question: how many of these new TELs does North Korea actually have? Estimates vary, but based on launch footage, parade visuals, and defector intel, the number is likely between 8 and 15 units. However, not all may be fully operational. Some are mock-ups, others are prototypes. Still, the production trend is upward, and the goal is clear: create a survivable, mobile second strike capability. On the international response side, the US and South Korea have upgraded satellite passes over suspected TEL garages. The THAAD missile defense system is being expanded with new radar overlays specifically optimized to detect cold launch exhaust signatures. Meanwhile, Japan's new Space Self-Defense Force is partnering with US Space Command to refine orbital tracking of mobile missile platforms. Back to the vehicles themselves. One underreported detail is the tire technology. North Korean TELs have traditionally relied on imported Chinese or Russian tires, but sanctions have disrupted that supply. The latest TELs appear to use domestically manufactured radials, possibly from the Amokgang tire factory, which reportedly received high-grade synthetic rubber shipments via rail from an unnamed third country, possibly Iran or a Central Asian intermediary. This brings us to the export-import black market networks that support the production of these vehicles. Between 2024 and 2026, intercepted shipping data pointed to several dual-use items: crane hydraulic systems, chassis frames, and transmission parts being routed through Southeast Asia, mislabeled as construction machinery. It's highly likely that these components were destined for TEL assembly. In one high-profile incident from late 2025, a Taiwanese port inspection uncovered crates labeled as hydraulic excavator arms that bore markings linked to a known North Korean intermediary company. These parts matched those seen on the new 12-axle TEL, suggesting modular assembly from globally sourced parts continues despite sanctions. Let's talk briefly about vulnerabilities. While these TELs increase launch mobility, they are not invincible. Satellite-tracked heat signatures, AI-driven terrain analysis, and persistent drone surveillance are improving rapidly. The window between movement and launch is narrowing. Yet North Korea's emphasis on camouflage, underground tunnel networks, and radar-absorbing vehicle paint remains an effective countermeasure at least for now. Some military analysts believe the next evolution might be fully autonomous TELs guided by preloaded GPS waypoints. This would eliminate crew fatigue, human error, and reduce communication signals that could be intercepted. Though speculative, it fits with North Korea's interest in robotics and automated warfighting platforms. There's also increasing evidence that Pyongyang is experimenting with naval TELs, basically missile launchers mounted on disguised barges or fishing trawlers. These would not replace ground TELs, but complement them, adding maritime unpredictability. The 2026 Sea Dragon 7 test may have been one such experiment. Before we wrap, it's worth touching on the cultural dimension. Inside North Korea, these vehicles are symbols of technological pride. Children learn about them in school books. Artists paint heroic murals of them thundering through stormy mountains. Songs have even been written, yes, songs celebrating the iron chariots of Josh. So, while the outside world sees a mobile ICBM platform, within the Hermit Kingdom, it's considered a national treasure on wheels. In a country where very few own private cars, the TEL is the ultimate supercar. Fast, powerful, and untouchable, at least in official propaganda. In closing, the 2026 North Korean missile launcher isn't just a machine, it's a statement. A message that mobility equals survivability, and that the regime will continue adapting, innovating, and most importantly rolling forward. Whether through shadow supply chains or indigenous engineering, North Korea has shown it won't be idling any time soon. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into North Korea's latest vehicle update. If you're interested in more analysis on military platforms, hidden tech, or the strange intersection of cars and conflict, make sure to subscribe and hit that bell. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Do you think North Korea's TELs are a genuine threat or just theater on wheels?